Welcome to T1 Academy. In our last session, we discussed the concepts of percentages, mostly the effective percentage and some other concepts which are very important for the CSAT examination. Now, in this session, we will see some of the previous year's questions as well as the practice questions from the concept called percentages, right? Now we will see. In a group of persons, this is one of the previous year's question. In a group of persons, 70% of the persons are male and 30% are female and 30% are married. If 2/7 of the male are married, what fraction of the females are in single? Okay, that is a question for us. See students, whenever you see these type of questions, where you can make assumptions, where you cannot make assumptions, means if the question completely contains of only relations in the sense 70%, fractions, 30%, these are what fraction, 2/7, these are fraction, right? So whenever the question contains completely the relations, okay, there we can use the assumption. If any particular value was given for you in the question, there you cannot make any assumptions. You should follow the traditional method to solve the question. But here, see here, the entire question consists of only relations, 70%, 30%, 2/7 and what fraction. In the final also they asked us what fraction is of women are single. So now see here, what I will assume is total there are 100 persons. I will assume that in a group there are 100%. In that 70% are male. That means male strength will be 70. When it comes to female will be 13 number. Male is 70 and female is 13 number. Okay, right? Next. If 2/7 of the male are married, see total male population is how much? 70. Okay, sorry. Female is 30 and next they given that 30% of persons are married. That means overall the married persons in this is 30. Married persons are 30 in number. Okay. Now, see here, they said that if 2/7 of males are married, that means here what is 2/7 of 70? What is 2/7 of 70? 7 1 7 tenths. That means what 20 male are married. 20 male are married. And what is the total number of married person in that group? 30. Total number of married persons in that group are 30. Out of that, if 20 are male, what about female? There are 10 female married women. Okay. Now see here, 10 female are married here. Now total strength of female is 30. In that married are 10. What about single? Single women are in what strength? 20, right? And what they are asking us, what fraction of females is single? So total how many women are there? 30 are there. In that 20 are single. So fraction will become what for me? 20/30. So 0 0 get cancelled and 2/3 of female are single. 2/3 of female are single. In this manner we are going to write our answer. See here students, if you don't make the assumption for this question, definitely it will take a lot of time. So wherever it is possible for you, please go with assumptions so that you will get the answers quickly. Right? Next one. If the price of an article is decreased by 20% and then the new price is increased by 25%, then what is the net change in the price? So already we have discussed this type of problems while learning the concept, students. See here, the price of an article is decreased by 20% and new price is increased by 25%. That means successively once it is decreased by 20, once it is increased by 25, right? This is the case they given for us. Okay. Now see here students, in this case 20% and 25%, what will happen for us? X I will take it as -20. Why? Because decreased. Y I will take it here as 25. Why? Because increased. So effective change in percentage, what is the formula we have? X plus Y plus XY by 100. Which in turn becomes what for us here? -20 plus 25 minus 20 into 25 by 100. Alright. Now see here, 20 ones, 25s, 5 ones, 5 5s. Overall what I got here? -20 minus y minus 25 plus 25, 0. That means what is the net change in the price? There will be no change. 0%. The change in the price is 0% is in here. Okay, and the shortcut method. What is the shortcut method? We already discussed 20% decrease. 20% means what? 1/5. So initial and final. Initial becomes 5, final becomes what for me? 4. Why? Because decrease. And similarly 25% increase. 25% increase means 25% fraction is 1/4. So initial value will become 4 and increase means final value will become 5 for me. Now see here, when I multiply these two things, already I told you if anything is cancelable in this manner, you can cancel it. Actually 5, 5, 4, 4 you can cancel it, but to avoid the confusion, I will multiply 5 4s are 20 and 4 5s are 20. So initial is 20 and final is 20. Is there any change? No change. So that you, by that also you can write your answer as 0%, 0%. Okay, next one. When 70% of a number x is added to another number y, okay, when 70% of x, that means what you will write? 70% of x is added to, added means plus another number y, the sum becomes 165% of value of x. That means this sum is equal to 165% of y, value of y. When 60% of number x is added, that means one more relation they given for us. When 60% of number x is added to another number z, a new number z, then it becomes what? The sum becomes 165% of z, 165% of z. Which one of the following is correct? Which one of the following is correct? That is the question. See here students, what we need to find? Who is the biggest among these three or who is the smallest among these three? Like that we need to find the things. Now please observe here students. From this equation, what I can tell? Whether y value is bigger or x value is bigger. Let us compare. If I send this y to the other side, it will become what? Minus y from this. First of all, please observe this one. From this, I will send y to the other side. What it becomes? 70% of x is equal to what it becomes? 70% of x is equal to 165% of y minus y. Can I write it as 100% of y? Yes, I can write. Y or 100% of y, both are same. So from this, what it becomes? 70% of x will be equal to 65% of y. Now tell me which of these two values is bigger, x or y? 70% of x is equal to 65. From this, what I can say here is y is greater than x. Y is greater than x. Or else if you have any doubt, students, which one is bigger, which one is smaller, means simple. What you will do is convert and try to do it. Anyway, which coefficient is smaller or which coefficient is bigger, please try to compare. Here y will be greater than x. Y will be greater than x. From this understanding, 70% of x is equal to just 65% of y. That means y value will be greater than x. This is the first one. Next, from this equation, what I can write? See here, 60%. If I send the z to the other side, if I send z to the other side, will become similar to this one. What I can write? 60% of x value will be equal to 65% of z. Now tell me, among these two, which one is bigger? X is the biggest value. Why? Because its coefficient is smaller. Okay, so 60% of x is equal to 65% of z. That means from this, what I can write here is x is greater than z. X is greater than z. So by clubbing those two things, what I can write? Y is greater than x greater than z. Y is greater than x greater than z. So where do we have that one? First one. First one. Okay, anyway, I have written in reverse order, but here z is less than x and x is less than y. Anyway, the same answer, we have written it in different manner. So the first option is correct here. First option is correct here. See here students, whoever's coefficient will be less, its value will be more. Remember that one. Okay, next one. Two candidates X and Y contested an election. Already we discussed in our, while discussing the concepts about this election concept. Okay, 80% of voters cast their votes. So that means assume that total X voters are there. In this, 20% didn't cast their votes. 20% of X didn't cast their votes. That people who casted their votes are only 80% of X. Okay, good. Next. And there were no invalid votes. That means he is not speaking about invalid votes. All the 80% votes are valid only now. Okay, next. There was no nota. Nota was also not there. There is no, very clearly they mentioned. X got 56% of votes cast and won by 1440 votes. Now see here, two persons are there. Actually, I assumed it as X. So for time being, we will take this as A to avoid the confusion. Okay. In these elections, X got 56% of votes. What is the total number of voters in the voters list? That is the question. and he won by what? 1440 votes. He won by. Now see here, if X gets 56% of this valid votes, that is 80% of X, what about the loser? He won the election. Anyway, X won the election. The loser will get what percentage of valid votes? Why? He will get 44% of valid votes. Why? Because there is no scope for nota. Very clearly they mentioned in the question. Now tell me, what is the majority does X get here? What is the majority X get here? X will get 56 minus 44. What it is? 12%. So the majority is here 12% of 80% of X. The majority is here 12% of 80% of X, which in turn is equal to, and if 1 by 1440 means this is nothing but the majority only. So this value is equal to what? 1440. What is the total number of voters in the voter list? That is nothing but we need to find the value of A here. A. We need to find the value of A. We need to find the value of A. So now what happens to A now for me here? 12 by 100 into percentage. I am removing the percentage and converting that into fraction. Into A. This is 80. That is equal to 1440. Now see here students, what it becomes? 24s, 25s. Next 12 ones, 12 12s and 0. Next 4 ones, 4 30s. So A value will become what? 100 into 5, 500. 500 into 30, what you will get? 15,000. So the total number of voters in that voter list are 15,000. Total number of voters in the voter list are 15,000. So if you once draw this, students, see, whenever you know this structure, you can solve it very easily in reverse order. In reverse order. Okay, try to draw this diagram. It may take some time, but it is really productive. You will get a perfect answer. Next one. The increase in the price of certain item was 25%. Then the price was decreased by 20%. Okay. And then again increased by 10%. What is the resultant increase in the price? See here the change was happened for 3 times. Once the price increased by 25% and then decreased by 20% and then increased by 10%. So 3 times change, right? So we will go with our shortcut method. Okay. What is the shortcut method? See, first the price is increased by what percentage? 25%. 25% means what you will write? 25 by 100. Fraction. What it becomes? 1 by 4. So initial and final. Initial value becomes 4, final value becomes 5. The reason is 25% increase. 4 plus 1, 5. Next, then the price was decreased by 20%. 20%, the price now got decreased. So 20% is equal to what? 1 by 5. So now initial will become 5 and final will become 4. What is the reason? 5 minus 1, 4. 5 minus 1, 4. Decrease. Next day, once again, the price is increased by 10%. Once again, the price is increased by 10%. So, 1 by 10. This will become what? 10 and final will become 11. See students, if you were able to cancel it, cancel them. You can cancel 5 with 5, 4 with 4. If not, also no problem. 200. Total, I am multiplying all these 3. This will become what for me? 220. So, whether it is increased or decreased here? Increased or decreased for us? Increased. Increased by what value? Increased by what value? Please observe 20. And actually is how much? 200 into 100. 2 zeros get cancelled, 2 ones, 2 tens. So, the overall increase in the percentage is how much? 10%. There is an increase of 10% in the price. 10% in the price. So, this is the simple and shortcut method, students. For the effective percentage, you can use this one very effectively. Next one. P scored 40 marks more than Q in an examination. Okay. That means P will score 40 marks more than Q, right? So, Q plus 40. Whatever the marks which was scored by Q plus 40 marks, that is equal to P score. Next, if Q scored 10% less marks than P, that means how you can write the relation between P and Q? Q is scoring 10% less marks than Q, right? So, what you can write? Q is equal to P minus 10% of P. Why? Because he is scoring 10% less than Q. So, that means what I can write here? Q is equal to 90% of P, right? Why? Because P is nothing but 100% of P. 100% of P minus 10% of P means it will become 90% of P. 90% of P. Now, you have two relations. What did they ask us to find? Q score. They asked us to find Q score. That means in place of P, try to write the Q. That means what I will write here? It is up to you. You can write here or here. Now from this, what I can write? Q is equal to 90% means 90 by 100 into P. 0, 0 get cancelled. From this P value will become what? 10 by 9 Q. From this P value becomes what? 10 by 9 Q. Now I will substitute that P value here. Why? Because in the question they asked us to find the score of Q. So I will substitute the P value here. What happens to when I substitute the P value here? 10 by 9 Q is equal to 40. Q 40 plus Q or Q plus 40. Now I will send the Q to this side. What happens to that? 10 by 9 Q minus Q is equal to 40. Okay. So now what happens to this one? 10Q minus 9Q by 9 is equal to 40. From this Q value becomes what for us? 360. So the marks scored by Q will be here equal to 360. The marks scored by Q will be equal to 360. So they given us two equations. Simply we solved the equation and substituted in the other value. Okay, that's it. Next one. Right, now see the question. A shop owner offers the following discount options to an article to a customer. Okay, he offered two things. So we need to choose which one. Successive discounts of 10% and 20% and then pay a service tax of 10%. That is the first logic. Next, successive discount of 10% and 20% and then pay a service tax of 10% and then pay a service tax of 10%. And third one, see here students, actually this is a third one. Pay a service tax of 10% first, then successive discount of 20% and 10%. Okay, now here we have three options. First, successive. See students, we can take the help of our assumption. Why? Because see, anyway this question is successive percentage only, but at last we are paying some tax, right? To avoid all these confusions, what is my suggestion here is, we will try to solve this one with the help of assumption. Assume that the price is 100 rupees. 100 rupees. Now when it comes to my first case, first what doing he is giving a discount of 10%. When he gives a 10% discount, 100 will become what? 90. Next he is giving a discount of 20%. So what is 20% of 90? 18 rupees, right? So this will become how much for me? 72 rupees. And then next, then pay service tax of 10%. What is 10% of 72? 7.2. 10% of 72 is 7.2. That means plus 7.2. What is the amount you need to pay here? 79.2. You need to pay 79.2 rupees. Okay, this is in the first case, you need to pay 79.2 rupees. Okay, next, successive discount of 20% and 10%. Now, please see here. First, he is giving a discount of 20%. What is 20% of 100? 20. So that means first the price will become 80. And then he is giving a discount of 10%. What is 10% of 80? 8 only. So that it will become what? 72 rupees. And then next, pay a service tax of 10%. Same. So here also you will pay the same amount, 79.2 rupees. Okay, good, superb. Now come to my next one. Okay, my next logic. Pay service tax of 10% first. First you need to pay 10% tax, right? It will become 110 rupees. Now on this he is giving a discount of 20%. What is 20% of 110? 22. So 110 minus 22, what it becomes? 110 minus 22, it becomes 88 rupees. Okay. And from this he is giving a discount of 10% and one more successive discount of 10%. That means minus 8.8. It will become what for us? 79.2 rupees. Okay. So sorry. Here we will get all the three values are equal. So here all the options are equally good for the customer. All the options are equally good for the customer. All the options are equally good for the customer. So next question. As a result of 25% hike in the price of rice per kg, a person is able to purchase 6 kgs less rice for rupees 1200. What was the original price of rice per kg? This is the question for us. Now see here students, 25% hike in the price of rice per kg. That means if initial value is some A or X. Initial value is some A rupees. Now the price was increased by what? Initial is some A rupees. See, by the method we will see one traditional method, and by the option verification we will see the another method. So initial value is A rupees. Now what happens to my final value? Final value became 25% hike, right? That means 125% of A. 125% of A. 125% of A. That means it will become what for me? 5 by 4 A. 5 by 4 A. This is the final price. Now initial quantity. Assume that initial quantity is some X. Initial quantity is some X. Now what happens to my final quantity? What happens to my final quantity? This will become X minus 6 kgs. X minus 6 kgs. X minus 6 kgs, right? Now see here. Anyway, both the products, quantity and the value, quantity and value, this should be equal to what? My 1200 rupees. Why? Because in both the cases, the amount spent is how much? 1200. That means product of these two will be equal to 1200 and product of these two also will be equal to 1200. Both the products are equal to 1200. So first, AX is equal to 1200 and as well as 5 by 4 A into X minus 6 value is also equal to 1200. Why? Because product of price into quantity. Price into quantity will become what for us? Total amount which he was spent. So these two equations we got. From this, what did they ask us? What was the original price of rice per kg? Rice per kg initial price is A, right? That means we need to find A. To eliminate X, what is the value of A I can take here, students? To eliminate X, what is the value of A I can take here? A value will be, or else X value. I will write X value as 1200 by A. 1200 by A. Now I will substitute this one in this one, so that my entire components will become in terms of A. So now when I substitute here, what happens to this? 5 by 4 A into 1200 by A. Why? Because X value is equal to 1200 by A minus 6, that is equal to 1200. Now when I multiply this with the 5A by 4 with 1200 by A, what it becomes? AA will get cancelled and 4 ones 4 300. So this will become what for me? 1500 minus, when I multiply this with this one, what it becomes? 2 3s are 2 4s are 3 5s are 15A by 2. This is equal to 1200. This is equal to 1200. If I send 15A by 2 to the other side and 1200 to this side, it will become, for me 15A by 2 is equal to 300. 15A by 2 is equal to 300. Now 15 ones, 15 20s. And A value will become what for me? 40 rupees. That means the initial price of the sugar or rice per kg is how much? 40 rupees. 40 rupees. This is the traditional method to get the answer. Now, if I want to do the same with the option verification, how I can do is, for example, if I assume that initial price is 30 rupees, then what will be my initial quantity? 1200 by 30. 1200 by 30, right? My initial quantity will become 1200 by 30. So this will become what for me? 40 kgs. Okay, initial quantity will become. Now the price is increased by how much? 25%. What is 25% of 30, students? What is 25% of 30? 25% of 30 is 7.5. 7.5. So now the new price will become 37.5. So new quantity will become how much? 1200 by 37.5. 1200 by 37.5. Is it exactly cancelable? No, it is not exactly cancelable. You will get, what is the value you will get? You will get a point value in decimals, and will the difference between those two things will be 6 kgs? No, it will be something in points. So this is not my answer. Next, if I assume that initial price is 40 rupees. So initial quantity will become what? 1200 by 40. 0 0 get cancelled and initial quantity will become 30 kgs. Okay, good, superb. Now the price is increased by 25%. What is 25% of 40? 10. So new price will become what for me? 50. So new quantity will become what? 1200 by 50. So this will become what? 24 kgs. Now please observe here, the quantity was reduced by 6 kgs, right? So now my price is what? 40 rupees. My price is what? 40 rupees. By option verification also you can do the same, some students. Okay, right, next one. The increase in price of certain item was 25%, then the price was decreased by 20%, and then I see, already we solved a similar one. Okay, we will see the next one. Raju has rupees 9,000 with him and he wants to buy a mobile handset, okay, but he finds that he has only 75% of the amount required to buy the handset. Therefore, he borrows 2,000 from a friend. Then they given us some conditions. Now, first of all, see here, what is the amount does he have? Raju have some 9,000 rupees with him and he want to buy it, but he finds that he has only 75% of amount required to buy the handset. He has only 75%. That means what indirectly this tells us is 75% of mobile price is equal to 9,000. 75% of mobile price is equal to 9,000. Then what is 100%? Please try to find what is 100%. If you observe carefully, students, this is 25 threes and this is 25 fours. So similarly, or else if you cross multiply it also, you will get the value as some 12,000. Okay. The value of the mobile handset is how much? 12,000. 12,000 will be the value of the handset, mobile handset. Assume it as some x and cross multiply them. You will get the answer as 12,000. Okay, good. Therefore, he borrows 2,000 from his friend. He have now 9,000 with him and he borrowed 2,000 from his friend. So now overall he have how much amount with him? He have 11,000 with him. Now, first option, Raju still does not have enough money to buy the handset. Yes. Why? Because the handset price is 12,000 but he have only 11,000 with him. That is correct. Next, Raju has exactly the same amount as required to the, no, he doesn't have enough amount. Next, Raju have enough amount to buy the handset and he will have rupees 500 with him after buying the handset. No. Raju has enough amount to buy the handset and he will have rupees 1,000. No. So, the final answer here for me is Raju still doesn't not have enough money to purchase the handset. Next one. In an examination, A scored 20 marks more than B. That means what I can write? A scores B plus 20. Why? Because he is scoring 20 more than B. If B has scored 5% less marks than A, already we solved a similar one. If B scores 5% less marks than B means what? What I can write? 95% of A. B is equal to 95% of A. Why? Because B is scoring 5% less marks than A. Actually, what we need to write, first step will be A minus 5% of A. A minus 5% of A. A means what? 100% of A. 100% of A minus 5%, what you will get? 95% of A. Okay, now, how much has B scored? So, we need to find the marks scored by B. So, from this what I can write? B value is equal to 19 by 20 of A. I am converting the fractions in percentage into fractions. Okay, now from this, now A value I can write it as what? 20 by 19 of B. Substitute this A value in this equation, what you will get here? 20 by 19, B is equal to B plus 20. So, if I send B to this side, it will become what? 20B by 19 minus B is equal to 20. So, LCM becomes 19, 20B minus 19B is equal to 20. So, what happens to these students? B value will become 19 20 is a 380. So, the marks scored by B is here how much? 380 marks. B scored 380 marks here. Okay. Next one. All members of a club went to Mumbai and stayed in a hotel. Okay. On the first day, 80% went for the shopping and 50% went for sightseeing, whereas 10% took rest in the hotel. Okay, which of the following conclusions can be drawn from the above data? Now see here, students. On the first day, 80% went for shopping and 50% went for sightseeing. From this, what we can understand? Definitely we can understand one thing, that few went for both shopping as well as sightseeing. So total out of 100%, and it is very clear that 10% took rest in the hotel. So 100% minus 10%. That means only 10% left to the hotel. Sorry, 90% left to the hotel, whereas 10% are still in the hotel. Now see here, I will try to draw this one, solve this problem with the help of a Venn diagram. Shopping and sightseeing. Sightseeing. Now, please see here, overall what percent of people went for shopping? 80% went for shopping. And what percent of people went for sightseeing? 50% went for sightseeing. 50% went for sightseeing. Now, please see here, students. We don't know what percent went for only sightseeing, what percent went for only shopping, something like this. Which of the following conclusions can be drawn from the data? From the data, what we can draw? 40% members went for shopping as well as sightseeing. For example, if I assume that the first case is 40, he is telling that 40% of people went for shopping as well as sightseeing. Now 40% went for both means I will write 40 here. And how much percent of people will go only for shopping? Tell me 40, right? Why? Because already out of 80, 40 was here. So 40 here. Out of 50, already 40 was there here. So I can write 10 here. Now add them. For overall, this total should be equal to 90. 40 plus 40 plus 10, this is equal to 90. So the first one is a chance. Okay. There is a chance for the first one. Yes, definitely there is a chance. Next, now I will check the second logic. Now I will check my second logic. What is telling in the second logic? 20% members went for only shopping. See, if 20% went only for shopping, see here students, 20% went for, so what about this area? Total shopping, 20% shopping, right? So shopping is here. Only 20% went for shopping. Overall, the people who went for shopping are what? 80%. 80%. So that means I should get here 60%. But can I write here 60%? No. Why? Because the overall people who went for sightseeing are only 50%. How can 60% can go to sightseeing? That logic is completely wrong. That logic is completely wrong. So keeping that thing in our mind, which one is correct? Only the first option is correct for us. Only the first one is correct. First one is correct. With the help of diagram, we can solve that. Next, income of A is 20% higher than that of B. Okay. A's income is, the income of B is 20% less than that of C. What percent less is A income from C's income? Okay. Now this is nothing but relation, students. Actually, we need to write the relation between A, B and C. Income of A is 20% higher than that of B. That means A value will be equal to 120% of B. A value is equal to 120% of B. We already know. Next, the income of B is 25% less than that of C. That means what I can write? B value will be equal to 75% of C. B value is equal to 75. Why? Because lesser than. B is 25% less than that of C. B value will be equal to 75% of C. Now, please observe here. If I substitute that B value here, now I need to compare A's income with C's income. So A value will become what? 120% of 75% of C. 125% of 75% of C. Now see here what I can write. A is equal to 120 by 100 into 75 by 100 into C. See students, I will intentionally will not disturb 100. Why? Because later I can directly write the percentage. Okay, 25 3s are 25 4s are 4 1s are 4 30s are 4 1s are 4 30s are. Okay, so from this A value will be equal to what? A value will be equal to 90% of C. Why? Because 90 by 100 of C, that you will get A value is equal to 90% of C. That means what? If A value is 90% of C, what I can tell? A's income is 10% less than C. A's income is 10% less than C. A's income is 10% less than C. Like this, we can write the relation between two persons. Okay, A is 10% less than C. Next one. A person spends 25% of his income on house rent. See, already in our first what we can say concept session, we discussed this one. A spends 25% of his income on house rent, 20% of remaining money on food and 15% on remaining on traveling and saves rupees 3060. Find the total income. Find the total income. Now see here, after paying house rent, assume that his income is some I. After paying house rent, he will be left with what? 75% of his income, right? Why? Because 25% is spent on house rent. Next, 20% of the remaining. That means 20% of this money is spent on food means he will be left with what? 80% of this money. So 80% of 75% of X. Okay, after spending on food, he is left with this money. Next, 15% of the remaining money on traveling. On this 15% means he will be left with what? 85%. So 80% of 75% of X. This value is equal to what? This is his savings now. This is equal to 3060 according to the given question. This is equal to 3060. Now 85%, 80% and 75%. What we can write here students? 85 by 100. 85 by 100. What it becomes? 17 by 20 into 80 by 100. 80 by 100 means what it becomes? 4 by 5. Next, into 75 by 100, this will become what? 3 by 4 into x, that is equal to 3060. Students, if you are able to write it directly, write it. Else, write it as 85 by 100, 80 by 100, 75 by 100 and then cancel it. Okay. Now, 4 will get cancelled, right? Next, 3 ones are 31020, right? 301020. Now, what happens to this one? X value will be equal to 1020 into 25s are 100 by 17. This will be his total income. This will be his total income. His total income is, this is his total income. Okay, students, understood? Here, anyway, you will get an answer in decimal, so don't waste your time in calculating. Just for knowledge sake, I have given this question. Next one. The population of a city is 6,000. Okay. If the population of males increases by 10%, while the number of females increases by 15%, the population increases to 6720. The initial number of males. See here, students, these questions we will try to solve this with an allegation rule and the general method. We will see both the methods and it is up to you. Choose the best one among these two, students. Okay. Now see here, the population of a city is, that means male population I will assume it as male M and female population I will assume it as some F. This is equal to what? 6,000, given in the question very clearly. Now see here, let us assume, then what happens to male population from this? 6,000 minus F. Male population will become 6,000 minus F. If I assume male population as M and female population as F, male plus female is equal to 6,000. So male population will become what for me here? 6,000 minus F. Now what they are telling? If the population of male increases by 10%, that means M will become what for me now? M will become what? 110% of M. Why? Because it is increased by 10%. Plus females is increased by what percentage? 15%. So 115% of female. This is equal to what? 6,000. Very clearly they mentioned as in the question. So now in place of male, I will write it as 6,000 minus F. In place of male, I will write it as 6,000 minus F. Sorry. By this incremental, by this increase, the population went to what? 6720. Population went to 6720. Now see here, I will write everything in male or female to get the answer. So anyway, I have equation male is equal to 6,000 minus F. So I will substitute here. So what it becomes? 110 by 100 into 6,000 minus F plus 115 by 100 into F. This is equal to 6720. This is equal to 6720. Now please here, when I multiplied this one inside, what it becomes? 2 zeros will get cancelled. So I will be left here with 6600. 6600 minus 110F by 100. 110F by 100 plus 115F by 100 is equal to 6720. Is equal to 6720. Now see here, when I send 6600 to that side and 115F minus 110F, what it becomes? 5F by 100 is equal to 5F by 100 is equal to 120. 5F by 100 is equal to 120. 5 ones are 5, 24s are. So female population will become what here? 2400. If out of 6,000, if female is 2400, what about male? Male population will become 3600. Male population becomes 3600, right? So 2400 and 3600. This is the population of that village, male and female population of that village. This is one method. The other method is, see here, allegation method. So male and female are there. Male population is increased by 10% and female population was increased by 15%. Due to this incremental, the population became what for me? 6720. Now see here, if for time being, I will assume that the entire population in the village is male only. So what is the actual population of that village? 6,000. 6,000. If all the persons are male, the population would have increased by how much? 600. Why? Because 10% of 6,000 is 600. So the population might have become 6,600. For example, if the entire population of that village is female and the female population is increased by what percentage? 15%. That means if all the 6,000 are female, they will be increased by 15%, means 15% of 6,000 is how much? 900. So the population might went to what? 1,600. But due to mixture of male and female, the population became what? 6,720 for me. So now what is the difference between these two students? 720 minus 900 minus 720. It will become 180. And what is the difference between these two? 120. That means male is to female will become what for me here? 180 is to 120. This will become what? 3 is to 2. That means male and female population will become what? 3 is to 2. So total population of that village is how much? 6,000. Male and female are in the ratio of 3 is to 2. So now male population will become what for us here? 3 by total is 5 parts. 5 parts into 6,000. This will become 5 ones, 5 12s, 3,600. And female population will become 2 by 5 into 6,000, that will become 2,400. It is up to you students, you can follow this one or this one, but better to go with this one. It will save a lot of time. Whenever you see these type of questions, assume that if the entire village is of male, what will be the population? 6,600. If the entire village is of female, what is the population? 6,900. But due to mixture of these two, the population became what? 6,720. Like this, you can write the differences. So this is male and this is female. Male and female are in what ratio? 3 is to 2 ratio. So 3 by 5, male population 3 by 5 into 6,000, that will become 3,600, like this. Okay, right? Next one. With this, we finished all the problems, practice problems from this concept, students. In our next session, we will see one more topic. Thank you very much.